What's going on? It's your boy Jordan back with another video. And in this video, I want to talk to you guys about the COVID-19 situation and how it's impacting my dropshipping business and what you need to know to make sure that it doesn't make a huge dent on your business. So this is an extremely serious situation. Many people around the world are dying. A lot of issues are going on right now with fulfillment and shipping out of China. And the overall world and community is in this state of fear and panic. Now, while I don't think that this situation is gonna last for months on end and this is gonna be the end of days, it is a really sad time for a lot of people around the world. So first and foremost, before we get started, I just wanted to say I hope you and your family are staying safe, you're following the best practices, and keeping up with the facts. Make sure that you're not just watching Fox and CBS News all day. Make sure you're doing your own research and looking at the real issue at hand here. If you spend too much time watching the news, or if you spend too much time on Instagram, you can really stress yourself out and reach this point of just panic nonstop. But that's not what this video is about. I want to talk about the specific effects of this scenario on dropshipping. And I'm not the only one who's touched on this. I'm going to actually put a couple other really good videos in the description. I saw one the other day from Sebastian G. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but it was really good. He had some interviews in there. And I've also seen this guy, Nate Schmidt, posting some really good quality content. So shout out to those guys. I'm going to put their videos down below. But without further ado, I'm actually going to switch over to my laptop here because I got this small PowerPoint pulled up and I just want to share a breakdown of what we're seeing inside of our business. So the three things that I'm going to be discussing today is the changes to supply chain and fulfillment that we're currently running into and we're currently having to implement. I also want to talk about what are the best types of products and the best niches to focus on in this time frame. And lastly, go through some of the overall best practices so that you can make the most out of this situation and it isn't some calamitous thing for your business. Now, before we get started, I just want to note a couple very important things. Right now in this time, communication with your customers is essential. And we're going to talk about that when I get into the shipping in depth, but you need to be talking with your customers. There are going to be delays if you're shipping from China. And as long as you set that expectation and you talk with your customers, it's going to make this entire process so much easier. Another thing I want to mention is that this will pass. Now, I can't predict the future, but if we look back over the course of history, there have been events like this, and every single time they pass. And I have this very strong theory that when this situation does pass, e-commerce is going to rise and it's going to continue growing at a much higher rate. I really feel like this was an essential wake-up call, though, for those business owners who do not have an optimized fulfillment and supply chain. We're going to talk about that in this video, but some people are really screwed right now in this situation. They simply cannot ship products. And if your business is designed like that, where one event can completely come things to a halt or bring things to a halt, that's not ideal, and you want to get that fixed. Another thing worth mentioning is that nearly everybody is stuck at home. I work with people across the world, my suppliers, my students, my team members. This is a universal earth thing. Everybody is pretty much quarantined, locked at their house. They're spending so much more time on social media, so much more time on YouTube, and a lot more time shopping and looking around on their phones. So this is a very good thing for e-commerce sellers, but there is a downside to it as well because people are hesitant to spend money on the non-essentials. I mean, if I go to the grocery store right down the street, I'm gonna see a line of people outside ready to spend $100 to $300 on stuff that they need, but they don't really need. So people are spending money now more than ever, but only on the essentials. So let's talk about everything one by one. The first thing that I want to touch on is the changes to supply chain and fulfillment. Now, if you've been doing any of your own research, you would know that there are massive delays out in China right now. If you're selling products and you didn't know this, you need to really dig much deeper because your business is screwed. You need to make sure that you understand what type of shipping times you're looking at for these products you're sending out to your customers. Right now, the reason why things are delayed is because there's a big backlog. Still, some suppliers are dealing with the backlog from Chinese New Year. You have to realize these two events were concurrent. It was Chinese New Year, which slowed things down, and then coronavirus came right after that. That's a bad mix for a supplier who's dealing with tens of thousands of orders per month. Another thing as well is that commercial flights are getting canceled. So if you're using a company that ships with this method, you're going to see so much more delays than a company that is using freight line shipping or something along those lines. And I'm going to share some examples with you moving forward, but just keep that in mind. But apparently, if you follow the news, if you keep up with everything, China is improving. They're really cleaning up this scenario pretty quickly, and things are going pretty smooth. The biggest concern currently with delays is the destination countries, like the United States. Things are kind of like ramping up here. It's like that in a lot of other countries as well. So that's where the biggest issues are going to come from, and you guys need to really be conscious of that. So how can we get around this, right? How can we make the most out of these delays? How can we limit them as much as possible? So the primary shipping line on AliExpress, ePacket, right? The one that everybody tells you to use, is experiencing massive delays. I'm going to be honest with you, do not use ePacket right now. Let's not touch ePacket because you're looking at currently a minimum 10 to 20 days delay on every single order. Hopefully not more than that, but those are the minimum numbers that we're looking at in terms of delay. And this is tough because a lot of people are using this method and they're continuing to use this method, and it's just kind of stacking and stacking and stacking. The delays are not just with ePacket as well. The delays are kind of spread out. You're going to be seeing delays on the other ones, but the best and most effective one that we found right now and that we've been using for the past 3 months is uExpress. If your supplier offers this, use it. This is the best option right now because they use freight airliners. Freight airliners are not getting canceled right now. Packages are still getting sent through that method. And it's just the overall fast shipping option. Once it comes from uExpress and touches the US, it switches over to USPS and gets shipped out quickly. With uExpress, we're seeing like 10-day shipping times. Right now, it's around like 15, which is not ideal. But out of China, that's some of the best that you can get during this situation. So the other alternative, if your supplier doesn't have uExpress, is using AliExpress standard. But the last point that I want to mention on this topic is you need to contact these people directly. You need to go to the AliExpress messenger, send them a message, and ask for some direct form of contact with them. That way, you can communicate with them and understand more about their situation. Ideally, you would want to hop on a Skype call or some voice communication platform. This is going to clear things up for you and give you a better understanding of what to tell your customers, because at the end of the day, that's the biggest concern, is how are the customers going to react to this. The truth is, the customers are understanding because they're going through it too. So if there ever was a time for there to be a delay and a customer not to get too aggravated about it, this is the time. Most customers are understanding. You just have to communicate with them and with their suppliers. So the best case scenario right now would be working with an agent. That's what we do. Our agent, like I said, is using private shipping line, uExpress. It's pretty quick. We have direct communication with them. We have much more control in the process. But you can still expect delays with that. It's a global pandemic at this point. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. But this is the best case scenario out of China. The only downside is that most agents aren't taking new clients currently. What I'll do is I'll put a couple of them in the description so you guys can vet yourself and do some research yourself. But what I found is that a lot of these agents are not taking new clients because they're struggling to even handle the ones that they have now. Not necessarily struggling, but they want to make sure they can get the best experience for their companies or for their people now. So that's what I want to talk about in terms of shipping. It's really not ideal right now, if I'm being honest with you. There are delays, things are slowing down, but the customers are much more understanding in this time frame. And as long as you're clear with the customer, as long as you have a solid communication with your supplier, you'll be fine. Okay, so now I want to talk about what to sell. My camera died there, so I had to cut it. When it comes to what to sell, like I said, you want to keep your ethics kind of first and foremost. Profiting off of mass fear is, in my opinion, a low level of selling. Like, you can go out there and sell masks and sanitizer. You can try it, but Facebook and Shopify are banning stores that are doing this. I don't really recommend doing it at all, to be honest. There's so many people doing it. The ethics behind it are kind of flawed, and you're shipping it from China 9 times out of 10, so it's just a no-go for me. I do think, though, that it's okay to sell products that people would want in this scenario, but I would suggest avoiding fear-based products. Like, you have to wear this mask or you're going to catch it, or making an ad where it's like 99% of germs are spread airborne. This, like, something like that is just so unethical to me personally. I wouldn't do it. And also, if you're already running a brand, if you're already selling a certain type of product, I don't think you should totally switch up your brand just to ride the trend of what's going on. Remember, this is only temporary. What I would honestly suggest doing is, if your business is really impacted from this situation, using this time to figure out what needs to be done to optimize your business so that when this is over, you can really build up that barrier of entry and build something much more solid than what you're currently running. That's how I would do it. That's exactly how we're doing it as well. So don't switch up this product or your brand just to make money off this trend. So when it comes to the best niches and best types of products, I mean, you guys got to understand that people are stuck at home and they're bored. They're also really worried about germs and cleanliness right now. And these are my ideal niches that if you're new or if you're currently maybe on a general store, you have some room to test. This is what I would go with. I mean, you have entertainment, just products to help people pass the time. If you actually go and look, board game sales have skyrocketed like through the roof over the last couple weeks during this situation. You also have like household items, like cleaning supplies, just kind of the essentials to help people with disinfectant. I've seen the most basic kitchen products that are related to this. Like I've seen a soap dispenser, I've seen a mop, I've seen some soap strips, I've seen all types of products that are just crushing it in this household disinfectant general space that aren't fully like scammy, like profiting off the coronavirus, just general home items that help people stay clean and organized at their house. Stuff that people would be selling otherwise in the other months, but it's just doing so much better right now. And also you have health and wellness products. These are staples. These are always going to be there. These are always going to sell well. But right now people are buying it. And you guys can actually see this chart right here. I pulled it from CNBC. It kind of breaks down what people are buying the most right now. And you can see that household items are actually outranking the food and beverages category just because people want to stock up. They want to prepare. They want to be safe. And lastly, like survival prepping. So I've seen a huge trend of survival kits selling really well. Just people wanting to have their essentials and be prepared for the worst. So I want to finish up this video off. I don't want it to be too long. I want to talk about the overall best practices for copywriting, offers, and shipping. So when it comes to copywriting, you really want to allure to the situation that's happening, but avoid directly mentioning the virus. Not only is this going to get you banned, but I feel like you're going to get some really negative comments as well. People don't really like that. People don't really like that fear-based marketing. Obviously, we can use a little bit of it, but we don't want to just dip both of our feet into that all the way. So, mention boredom, mention being stuck at home, mention germ-free, mention these broad terms that are relating to this situation. Think of buzzwords that people can connect to the situation, but don't directly say what's going on. When it comes to the offers, you got to think about what people would actually use in this time frame. You can go on Google Trends and check this and see what's actually selling well right now, what people are searching for right now. And you really just have to consider most people's financial situations and see if your product is going to be something that they buy in this time. You have to ask yourself this because most people, like I said, are happy to spend money right now, but it has to be on something that makes sense. And it has to be on something that's going to, in a way, help them through this situation. And the last thing I want to talk about to close out this video is just with your shipping setup. Make sure your supplier actually has stock on hand. Like seriously, reach out to them, ask them how many units of this product do you have available. Make sure they give you some type of proof as well, an image, some type of receipt, something that they can prove that they have this much quantity. And make sure that you're checking the tracking numbers that they're sending out as frequent as possible because these suppliers, especially a supplier that you're not close with on AliExpress, can easily send you a tracking number that is way off and not accurate whatsoever. This is not ideal. And lastly, just make sure that you're over communicating with your supplier. Like be that annoying client that's just bugging them every single day just to make sure that things are moving. You want to have every update as soon as you could possibly get it. This is not the time to just kick back and relax. This is the time for you to really understand your shipping and get it as good as possible. So that's pretty much everything that I have for this video. I didn't want this to be a 30-minute long video. I just wanted to share an overview of everything. If you guys want to see some more in-depth stuff, I've linked a couple really good videos down below. You can check those out. Shout out to those guys for making some fire content. I have a couple more videos coming up next. I want to talk to you guys really in-depth about supply chain and fulfillment. I have a new Facebook ad strategy that I've really been refining, and I want to share that with you. And I've also been working on a case study as well. So if you guys are looking forward to that new content, give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and drop a comment down below on how you're handling this situation. Is it stressing you out? Is it slowing you down? The truth is, you should make the most out of it. You're stuck at home, you got a lot of time to work, and there's not gonna be a better time than this, especially if you're working at a job right now. Use this downtime to build something great, improve yourself, and the reward is gonna be endless. That's all I have for this video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.